remember last week when I told you I'd never go mirrorless? Well, this is kind of awkward. I'm going to walk you through my ultimate still life, product photography, food photography, drink photography camera. Exactly what it's made of, because most of you won't be familiar with these parts and these bits of equipment. We're going to go through all of it, the business decision behind it, the technical sort of prowess this camera has, and why you might want one. Now, you might be saying, Scott, a week ago you were saying how you don't need to buy loads of new kit, you just got loads of broncolor, and now you've got a new camera. That's a bit contradictory. I'm aware of that. It gets worse though. Remember this thumbnail? Oh yeah, can you guess what's on the back of this camera right now? Anyway, before we go there, let's look at this. This is a technical camera. Let me just spin it around a little bit for you. There we go. So it's on a salon stand, which is a big solid stand. And here is the camera. I have gone through a bit of a minimalist phase in my kit. It might seem like I've bought a lot recently, but I've actually sold a lot more. I now just have 2 score row packs and 6 broncolor heads and just this camera. Plus a Bowens quad pack and 4 Bowens heads just in case. But I've gone through a real minimalist phase. I used to have like 30 lights in here, 6 cameras. It cut it all down. A lot of which funded some of this, but we'll get to the rest of that in a bit. So this here is the Cambo Actus MV. This is basically a 4x5 camera. This can do anything. It's gonna do more than any other camera can. And this is in terms of tilt, shift, and swing. So this can alter perspectives, change focus planes, do everything you need from a technical camera as a still life photographer. This is it. Now, I am now working as the brand ambassador for Cambo, and this is sadly not mine to keep, but we'll see. We'll see how that pans out. But they've also sent me all the parts I need to build a smaller version of this. So I'll have a slightly smaller one, not quite as on steroids as this hunk of metal here, but this is what I've got at least until next year, or when they prize it for my dead cold hands. But we'll see how it goes. So as you know, I've been shooting with Cambo for the last 2 years. It's how I built my first ultimate food photography camera with a 5D SR, the 90mm Secor lens, and a smaller version of this. I shot worldwide campaigns, full buyouts, really big jobs on it. Great bit of kit. Obviously, everything I've done to get to this point, I did with that. That doesn't now make a 5D SR on a Cambo obsolete. It's still as good. But I was offered the great opportunity to work with Cambo after I approached them. Let me make that clear. I got in touch with Cambo. I get a lot of airtime for your cameras. Let's work together. I like what you do. And I'm not really a brand loyalist. I'm a stickler for change, but I'm not really a brand loyalist. So for me to go, can we work together? That means I'm pretty much with Cambo for life, because it fixes a problem that as still life photographers have, and there's not really anyone else that does that. So I'm a big fan of the Cambo cameras, but I know what you want to know, and that's what's back here. But before we get to that, let's talk about what's up top, which is a pocket wizard. I've also changed all of my triggers to the generic, cheap Pocket Wizard Plus X with the single pin on the bottom. Because when we're on set, we often get given different gear. One day I'll be on Pro Photo with their 6 different trigger options. Another day we'll be with Godox, Bowens, Elinchron. I don't choose often what I get on set, but what I would like to do is just have a trigger system that's really basic and that I can work without any qualms or quarrels or problems, whatever it may be. Just put it on, fire it, flash goes off. That's all I want from life, nice and simple. Now at the back, and I'm sure most of you have worked this out already, I've gone and bought a mirrorless camera. I know. But, and this is a big but, the reason for doing this was financial. Not for better return on investment, not for better image quality. Of course, I will get better image quality. There will be no better return on investment though. I'll be making the same money today that I made yesterday. I can't charge more. But part of my minimalist approach, and because I was given the Cambo cameras, was to sell all of my Canon gear, and it just happened to come to the exact value of a second-hand GFX 100S, not Mark II, the original one. So I've not got it for free, but I've got it in exchange for all of my Canon gear. And I'm okay with that. Sadly, with my broncolor purchase, I didn't manage to make anywhere near enough money selling all my old kit for it, but we had a bit of cash laying around at the end of the year anyway, so it was okay. You do not need this camera. Let me make that completely clear. I just finished 2 big worldwide campaigns on a 5D SR. 5D SR, over a decade old. This is better, but you don't need it. And I want to make that really clear, because this channel is not about trying to sell you the latest and greatest tech. This will not make my photography any better. The reason I went for it was because I wanted a change, because I've been shooting on the same camera for my entire career. The other reason I went for it was because recently clients have wanted slightly higher resolution and we've been renting phase 1 cameras in. Now because, and only because, I could get this without losing any money from my bank account, I can now rent this to myself instead of a phase 1. It will replace a phase 1. It's not as good as a phase 1, but it's close enough that you can use it in place of one. So there's a slight financial upside to this, in that whenever I would be renting a phase 1, I'll now rent this to myself, but I would not have put £3,000 down to buy it with cash to then rent it to myself. That doesn't make enough financial sense. I did the numbers. You can check them if you want to. It doesn't work for the volume I shoot in. If you're renting a camera like this to yourself every single week of the year, it probably does work out, but I don't only do a few shoots a year. I like to do the big ones. I'm not interested in doing like little nickel and dime shoots with small budgets. I want a big creative team. I want a big shoot. I want to see my work on the billboards, not on Instagram. But there we go. 100 megapixels, slightly overkill, I know. But it is useful for some stuff that we do. And like we say, we would use the phase. Mirrorless, I've tried to get on with the viewfinder. I don't like it. I'm currently using the rear screen because the viewfinder is just, it's not an optical viewfinder. I want an optical viewfinder. So that kind of smarts a little bit. The files are lovely. It works fine with these lenses. Yes, there's a different crop factor, but it's not enough for me to need to change the 90 to say 110. I don't own any native lenses. I've got 2 lenses and 1 body. You'll notice absolutely no redundancy. And we'll get to that in a bit, but the lenses are great. The Mamiya RZ90 works great with it. I've not tested the 50 extensively. I've not tested any of it extensively. I will do a video showing you what this camera can do in the future. This is just, I've got it. So comments below what you'd like to know about it. So obviously, you know I'm not a techie camera nerd sort of person, but let's talk about the Fuji system alone for now. I want to tell you what I know about it, because I bet you know more about it than I do. So here's what I know. So 100 megapixels. It has 16-bit TIFF files, and it can do some sort of video. That is it. There's loads of specs out there of what's great and bad, but that's all I know, and that's all I'll use it for. It's just a digital back at this point, so that's very cool. I am going to do a whole video on this camera here. It's its own video in itself. It's so niche, it won't get many views, but for those who are interested, there will be some serious nerding out on this, and I'll show you some cool stuff you can do, like having a straight glass but seeing over the top of it, that kind of stuff. But yeah, we'll get all of that going on. It's very exciting. But yeah, let's talk about redundancy and my lack of. So I'm currently in here and I'm feeling very calm about things because I've got my 1 single video camera, my 1 single stills camera. That is it. Of course, if this camera goes down right now, I can't film this YouTube video. I could use a phone, I guess. It'll probably be all right. But that's okay because this is not critical work. If I'm doing some creative work in the studio and this goes down, that's all right. Is it worth spending £3,000 to have an identical backup? Not really. If I have a job on and I'm using this and I'm renting it to myself, I'll also rent a second backup body. I wouldn't turn it to a shoot with only 1 body. I would normally turn it with 2 or 3. I will probably, over time, as they devalue, buy an additional one, but at the current price point, it doesn't make sense. I don't want £6,000 sat in my studio of cameras when we might not have a job on that month. It's just not worth it. But I am quite excited. I've always wanted medium format, and of course this is medium format, but not big medium format, so I don't feel like it's really me, I don't know. But I'm very excited. I've never had a camera this big, this like, you know, above 35 millimeter. It's really exciting for me. It's something I've always wanted. So it's got like rear tilt, rise, forward. It's got rear shift as well, and it's got the same on the front, so the movements front and back are mirrored, which is really like exciting for me. I can do some really cool stuff with like products and drinks with this. Things that aren't possible with my current Cambo and things that aren't possible anywhere near with a tilt shift lens. So this is super exciting to use, and I'm very inspired to shoot at the moment, which is great because I had some really big shoots recently and I kind of burnt out a bit, and I've basically, since the last big shoot I did, I hadn't taken my cameras out of the bag. But yeah, first shoot with this will be a test shoot, of course, and a bit nervous, a bit scared, don't like change. I've used Canon cameras for my entire career, and now I'm a Fuji shooter. So there we go. And I'm a minimalist, which I'm really liking. The stress of not having all the gear is really enjoyable. I'll see how that is on my first test shoot when I don't have a backup camera body. Whether that suddenly makes me buy another one, but ideally not. Don't really want to spend more money at this time of year. Coming up to Christmas, everyone wants presents. It's a spendy part of the year. But there we go. And again, just to reiterate, there's nothing wrong with the kit I was using before. There's no like technical reason to upgrade. There's a few things it wasn't doing as well as I wanted to, but I still got the jobs. So you don't need to go and buy all of this. But if you're into technical cameras, this is great. If you're into medium format but don't want to spend a fortune, this is great. Like, it's all good, but don't feel that you can't do your next shoot without this. I'm going to try and organise having a load of these Cambo cameras brought down to my studio, so you can actually come in here and have a play with them as well. So it'll be a small group. I don't want a big group in here. It'll be too much for me, but maybe a small smattering of us. We'll gather, we'll play in the new year perhaps. I'll see you then. Bye-bye.